Welcome back everyone to Welstopia, and today we will be starting on the corridor of bones. This is a wide corridor right smack in the middle of the map in the Temple of Elemental Evil, and the floor is lined with bones all the way through. Now, you can't represent that in Minecraft, so I will be using bone blocks for the floor as a nod to the original module on that matter. As for the ceiling, I'm going to give it a 4 block high ceiling instead of a 3 block high ceiling to reflect the fact that this looks like it's going to be a large one. It's a very long and wide corridor, so I think the ceiling should also be a little bit high. Now the question is, what pattern to use for the ceiling? I'll have to think on that, because this is going to be 4 wide when you consider that these are going to be along the edges there, so therefore it'll be 4 wide there. I thus can't use the pattern I'm usually using, where I've got 3 wide with a central light there. So I want to see if I can come up with something that will work with even numbers and, of course, still provide me with my light. Interesting thought. The first thing that comes into my mind is to use double wide lights. Now, should I try 4x? No, if I do a 4x4, that will give me even in both directions. I don't want to be forced to do squares there. That might be an interesting thought. Let's see how that looks. Now that idea has come into my mind. It's doing it like this. Oops. Like that. Yeah, that will then look more symmetrical that way. So maybe I should try that. Now the question is, how long will that keep up? Because when I get down to the end here, am I going to have a proper even number? Well, I could always adjust it when I get to the end. And that's one possibility. Or I could adjust it in the middle, because that's the other place where you could do adjustments. You could make something extra wide or extra short in the middle. So I'll have to do the ends first and have them meet. The idea there is to create a pattern like this all the way across from one end to the other. Good. And that way I could get rid of all the torch spam that I've got over here. I have 2 extra blocks here before I meet this corridor. This corridor is 4 wide, and since it goes an equal distance in both directions, that means I'll have 2 extra there. Total of 4. The numbers actually work out perfectly. Wow. And here we are at the other end, and it stops 1 short, but since we need 1 for the lip that we have here, that means everything will come out nice and evenly and connect with this corridor over here. And there's an Enderman there. I wonder what my skills are like with the axe. Not very good. I think I cut the wood more effectively than I hit the Enderman. But apparently I was in the regeneration zone for my beacon, so all was fine. Now we need to consider the matter of the floor. Now, since this is the corridor of bones, I was thinking that the floor should of course be bone blocks. That's because we can't do what they do in the module and have it covered with bones. So therefore, bone blocks would be a nice Minecraft way of representing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of this floor, recover some of this andesite since I'm rather low on stuff and I'll be needing it some for this room, I think. But I will be also collecting the stone and all that stuff, and the idea here then is to replace this with a bone block. Now, the manner of doing the bone block is, well, it's going to be a little bit haphazard. The idea here then is, well, normally I prefer them to be nice and all aligned. Since I'm representing bones coming up all over the place, that's a little bit more consistent than I was hoping for, but alright. Since we have bones coming up all over the place, no, not the polished stuff. I was thinking maybe some diorite, not polished diorite though. That some diorite here also occasionally, so that looks like, how does that go? Well, we'll try it and see how that works out. The idea is occasionally having diorite in there to give it a little bit of a dirty bone and mixed other stuff look all over the place. And I'm going to do this across the majority of the hall going across here. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because based on what I've been seeing so far, we are going to run into a few places where we're going to have that. And therefore, let me get this all covered up. And this is the result, which I'll have to admit is downright ugly. Now, this wasn't going to be something that I was going to think of as a particularly pretty build, so I may just go with it, but I'll probably have to revisit this at some point and see if I could come up with a better idea. So if you have any suggestions, I wouldn't mind hearing one, but this right here, I think I may have to go with another idea of how to represent a hall of bone. Maybe go with a more traditional floor and maybe some sort of fossil bone, but it's a bit low for that, so that may be out. I do though have another idea related to bones that I was thinking of that would help with the feel of this area, but I don't want to introduce that yet, at least not to this area, but I can show you what I'm thinking of. And that is dogs. There's an association of dogs and bones, and perhaps I'll turn the place into a kennel. So that could be the association with bones. Maybe I should just make it a regular hall, as then occasionally have bone blocks strewn on it in bone shapes, and that's where the dogs can play and the like. And that way I won't have to have a floor and all that is, well, so ugly. That's a thought. Let me try that out. I mean, it can't be any worse than what I've got already, could it be? Another possibility is to use a floor similar to the one that we have in our corridors, and that is to make it double wide and go like this all the way across. Maybe occasional bone or something like that to add flavor. And another possibility is to have some bones like this occasionally for the dogs to play on. Maybe some of them like in this direction also. This would probably actually be more like, of course these are rather large, so it may work, it might not work. So that's another thing to consider. I'll have to ponder on that between episodes, on if putting occasional ones like this. And I'd love to do fossils, but that means raising this. And this is a very, very nasty place to be giving myself a high ceiling. But it is something to consider, and I'll have to decide on that before finalizing my wall design, because if I raise the ceiling, then I'll need to add lighting to the walls to keep this place from getting really, really nasty in its stuff. But yes, the corridor of bones, I still have to think about it, but I have a basic idea. I know where my corridors are going to be, and I still need to decide what I'm going to do for walls. Now, I don't want to do what I'm doing on the corridors, because the corridors, they are very, very heavy on polished andesite, and I'm running out of the stuff. So therefore, I'm probably going to have to think of something else to do for those long hauls that I'm doing. For here, polished andesite, maybe do something I have as a theme for the first floor, and then for the second floor do a different theme. But for here, I'll most likely want something involving stone brick. I might even just use stone brick in place of polished andesite for this room. How will that look? Let's just go like this, like that. And see how that works. And using there, and that would mean using spruce in the middle here. Let's throw a torch there for now, and then we'll just have to find some way to transition to whatever we do there. Yeah. And it goes well with the lips that I have. Alright, so that's what I'll do for the walls. Good. Another plan that I have for those dogs is way at the east end of the island, where I have found a skeleton spawner. So I may think of doing something with the skeleton spawner down around here. I also have the skeleton spawner I probably showed in an earlier episode, which is down where the temple is. In fact, that one might be better for using in a traditional type of skeleton farm, where you bring them up to a height and drop them. But I want to make sure it doesn't interfere with the temple. So I have one here, one back down at the main base area near the temple, and I have a third one which I found in a cave out here that I may have trouble finding again if I attempted to do so, because last time I found it I got completely lost afterwards. So I have 3 skeleton spawners at my base, at least. So I should have no trouble collecting bones and the like, and I may use that in a later build then. But first I have to see which is the best one to develop into a skeleton farm that I need. I first want to make sure where the one that I have down here is going to be best used, because if it goes in with the main part of the temple, then I want to probably incorporated in there as some sort of feature of the temple, maybe an obstacle or something like that. Just how I have the invasion of Loth that I have with the spider spawner and the ordeals with the zombie spawner here. So I have to decide whether it's going to be a traditional farm or if it's just going to be some sort of special build related to the temple. As I ponder on that, I think it's high time that we revisited this room. This is the pillar room, and I was thinking of doing a chorus fruit farm here, but let's face it, a chorus fruit farm would be a bit impractical in this place, and besides, I haven't been able to find any core stuff anyway, and I'm not in the mood of going into the end. So, I am going to go with the original theme of this room then, and that is the Hall of Pillars. And in this one, my pillars are going to be tree trunks. That's right, this is going to be turned into a place for trees. And there are supposed to be 8 pillars in this room, and the idea there then is to have 4 of each type of straight single trunked tree. That would be then birch, oak, spruce, and jungle. Those are the 8 type that I can think of. Dark oak needs 4 saplings to make and would be way too big, and of course large spruces would also be way too big for this room, so those are completely out. I would at least try something that has a chance of growing, and if they don't, then I'll probably reduce it down to 4 and then just use the middle like this. But first I am going to try it with 8 to see if that works, and to do that I'm going to have to measure the perfect places to place my dirt. And here we have it. Therefore we can place a couple of spruces here. We could place the, not spruces, those were birches. I put the birches there because I only have 3 wide there while I have 4 wide over there, and I thought that actually that might make oak better there, so sometimes that needs a wider spot. Then I could place spruce here. Jungle can go here. Unfortunately, I only have 1 jungle sapling, so I am going to have to do something about that. Well, maybe I can get some saplings from there, assuming it works. Question is, do these have room to grow? If not, I'll just relocate the dirt a little bit and try again, but I'm going to give that some time to grow and we'll come and see what the results are. While we wait, we could check in on the enchantry, which I haven't used yet, but I have some lapis here and some books and some levels, and it might be a good idea to see what I can make. Efficiency 4, blast protection, aqua affinity. I don't think I've got anything with aqua affinity yet. And I've got efficiency, I think, with everything so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if I get what I could do with aqua affinity. That's all it has, but I only spent 1 of my levels. Now see if we can make something more interesting. Knockback. No. Knockback. Oh well. Now I was thinking of only making 2 items for now, and the rest I could use in making bookshelves, so I could have something to work with the library. So let me actually, I think I'd be better off going into here because I could dump off a couple of things in here for a few moments. I should have put the lapis back there. See, I've only got, so I want to get some spruce here. And the idea here then is to create some bookshelf. Alright, what I'll do is this. Do that first, then that. And I've got bookshelves. I could start stocking my library, because my librarian must be pretty lonely right now with so few books to read. Look at this, only 2 books. And I do have to put some of the books where the librarian is standing, because that is just irresponsible to have a librarian separated from all the books. I will put one shelf here though, and then we'll put, let's see, let's put one here, one here. Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to do that to me, just to make things tougher. And a third one here. So therefore, we now have bookshelves. Yeah, so some new books for you to read. Yeah, go on, go on. After I get them back to the station, we'll go and check back on the trees. I had to raise the ceiling slightly, but in the end, I managed to get a, well, not quite full set of trees, because I am going to need one more sapling for jungle, and then I'll have a set, and this will be my pillared room, and the pillars then will be tree trunks. And I thought, well, I might as well also turn this into a cocoa bean farm, so I'm planting some cocoa beans right here. And I do have to figure out what to do with the light and what to do with the floor to make everything look nice and pretty, now that I know that the whole thing will work. I have to think on that, and we'll probably return that at a later time. But for now, this is it for today's episode, and when we return next time, we are going to head into the Nether, where I'm going to be starting on my Nether hub. But that's for the next episode of Pineleaf Plays Minecraft Welstopia.